Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by top trainer Dominic Ingle. And Dominic, you've had some, I guess you'd class it as good news tonight.
It's just news, isn't it? It's just the end of a long process. Josh Warrington's vacated his belt. Galahad would have liked to fight him, but we had to press the issue because, the goal post kept getting moved, and we've got to look out for Galahad at the end of the day. So he's vacated, and now it's a process of going through the IBF list and see who's available to fight Galahad for the vacant title.
I found it a little surprising reading the press release about Warrington vacating that was issued by Matchroom earlier today, that there was no mention of Barry in it at all, because he's also a Matchroom fighter and he's now the number one contender for the belt.
Yeah, look, Barry got beat by Warrington. Personally, I think that he was gifted that the decision. We got Barry back into mandatory position, and it should have, it's almost a year and a half since he boxed Warrington. Warrington hasn't defended he hasn't had a mandatory since he boxed Barry. So, things were put in place from to fight Kanzu in November, by the end of November. And, we had to stand for that. It's not what we wanted. They managed to get an exception, Warrington's team, of not fighting Barry and fighting Kanzu. And then it got moved on again, and we've still tried to work it out, still tried to make it work, and let Warrington fight Kanzu. But when the opponent got changed last minute for this Lara, Barry's just not going to step aside, for Warrington to knock some stiff over. It's different if you're fighting a better fighter and it's going to be, a unification or whatever, even though it was never a unification. But Kanzu, he's obviously he's the WBA regular champion. But, if Warrington wants to have bigger fights, then, give your belt up and go and challenge these other fighters. Because let's go back a few years to when Billy Joe Saunders got his title nicked off him against Bubo Andrade. And look who he's boxing, a load of stiffs. Well, Billy showed his true colours and came back and won a super middleweight title. So if Warrington's good enough, then somewhere down the line, he'll come back and win a title. But for now, it's down to Kid Galahad to get this title. Hopefully he does. And if Warrington works his way back into contention against Barry, of course we'll fight him.
The purse bids were due for Warrington against Barry today. Did you have an inkling that he was going to give the belt up?
You never know, because it can all depend who puts the bids in. And I don't think Eddie was expecting anybody else to bid apart from him, and somebody else did. And that was it. When they found out somebody else bid, I don't even think Eddie put a bid in. And I think he didn't expect anybody else to bid. And what would have happened then is the purse bid would have probably been called in 2 weeks' time again. And maybe that would have allowed Eddie the time, to sort something out. I don't know. But he didn't put a bid in. And then when they found out somebody else did, they vacated the title. I think it was PBS who did it. So, it's just the way it is. He's edged his bets Warrington all this time. And look, he boxed, last year against some stiffer Frenchman, whatever. It was a joke of a fight for a world title fight. And, you can get away with him once in a while, but the fights he's talking about having, I'm sure he'll get them somewhere down the line if he considers himself the best. He's got this fight in February. Let him get that out of the way. And then let's see where he goes from there. But the one thing about the IBF is you can, they apply the rules and the regulations better than any of the governing bodies. You've got to fight your mandatories. There is a process, eliminators and exceptions and all this kind of thing. And they follow it to the letter, they follow it to the letter. And that's why, we've got Barry into position for the world title on more than one occasion. And hopefully this time, he gets the belt. And, I think he deserves to get another crack at it and to win it.
So what's the situation with the IBF now Warrington's vacated? Do they contact each challenger from number 3 on down? Because number 2 position's vacant at the moment.
Yeah, they'll go down the list. I think the next in line is Jazza, then somebody else, and they'll go down the list and they'll see who accepts it. That's just how it is. That's how it works. And we'll see who takes the fight. And Galahad's prepared to fight anybody in that top 10, whoever they put in front of him. So let's see who they offer. Like I say, Galahad's always in training. He's always only 4 or 5 weeks away from a fight. So, the day after he got beat by Warrington, he was back training again, and he's never stopped because that's how he is. He doesn't take time off. He sometimes increases his training, but he's always within striking distance of a fight. He's 30 years old now. He's 31 in March. Time's not on his side. He lives well. He looks after himself, and now it's time for him to capitalise, on that position.
And should it be his next fight for the world title?
Yeah, he's definitely his next fight will be the world title fight. Yeah, obviously, 100%. Yeah.
And Jazza seems like a pretty marketable fight. They fought before. Kid Galahad won by stoppage down at Super Bantam. He's just won the Golden Contract tournament, Jazza. It seemed like a rematch that could be sold pretty easily.
Yeah, look, when they boxed back in 2012, it was you don't really, when you get two prospects like that fighting at that level, they usually wait down the line. And fair play to Jazza then. I'm Barry. Mick Hennessy put that show on. It was a fantastic night. Jazza was edging the fight until Galahad stopped him. But that's the fork in the road in the careers. And Jazza's showed his true colours. He's come back. He's changed teams. He's under Derry Matthews. He got himself a better position and he's fought his way back into contention. Look where he is again 8 years later. And he didn't have any favours done with him. He had to fight his way through. He's back in position, and I think he's also in position for the WBO title. So I think he's got more than one option. So fair play to him. Quality and determination will get you through, and taking the fights, what are given to you and put in front of you. So fair play to Jazza, and it will be a good fight. They sparred lots of times since. There was always a bit of needle in that fight, but we've always helped helped Jazza in the past for fights and sparred with him. They've done more rounds. So many rounds sparring. They must have done 60 or 70 rounds, maybe 80 over the years, and there's never been any needle. And if they fight each other, they'll always be that respect. They've done it before, and let's just see what happens.
Is that a fight you'd relish for Barry, or are you just happy to face anyone for that belt now?
Obviously the fight Barry wants because he thinks he was hard done to is the Warrington. That's the thing. He wanted revenge on Warrington, but. Not putting anybody down. Whoever's put in front of him, he'll fight. That's what boxing's about. Fight who's in front of you. It's no good being a cherry picker and picking who you want. Just fight who's there to fight. I believe Warrington should have took this fight and he should have said to Eddie, "Oh no, fight him again." Because if you've got the beating of somebody, you've got the beating of him. And he believed he got the beating of Galahad. So if that's what he's saying and that's what he believed, then he should have took the fight.
And talking of mandatory obligations, you've got Liam Williams in a similar position, WBO mandatory to Demetrius Andrade, you mentioned earlier. What's the latest on that? Because they've called for bids now, haven't they?
Yeah, I think that's in less than 3 weeks' time. I spoke to Frank Warren's team, and they're going to put a bid in. So, we just got to wait. I think he was waiting to see if they're going to fight Billy Joe Saunders. Now they're talking that Billy Joe Saunders might be fighting Canelo in May, so that's out of the picture. So he's got to fight, Liam Williams. He's another one who's looking for the bigger fights. And, for more money because, Liam Williams is a risky proposition for him. And, why fight somebody like Liam Williams? It's a lot of risk for very little reward as far as he's concerned, Andrade. But, that's another interesting fight. Look what Liam Williams did to Atlantic's Fox. Fox bashed him and Andrade, struggled with him for 12 rounds. So he likes to talk, Andrade, and we've got his number. We didn't fight him with Billy Joe Saunders, and hopefully it will come off with Liam Williams. And I think Liam Williams is going to give him the fight of his life.
So by the summer, you could have 2 world champions in the gym.
Yeah, he could do, but look, like you say, never count your chickens. It never quite pans out as you expect, and you never take anything for granted. It'd be nice, but we have to just think it's a fight. It's not like. It'd be great. We've got the bases loaded. We've got Galahad in position. We've got Liam Williams in position. We've got Willie Hutchinson lined up for the British and Commonwealth. And hopefully we've got Robbie Davis in a European title fight or a meaningful title fight somewhere down the line. So, things are happening. And you have to give credit to the guys in the gym because they've kept on it all the way through the lockdown and put themselves in that position. So, if we can collect and get the titles, all well and good. But you can never take it as a done deal. You've got to, put the graft in, and you've got to keep your head straight and, see what comes from it all.
Good stuff. Well, let's have a catch up when Barry's opponent's confirmed. I think most people would hope it's Jazza because that's a big fight, I think. And we'll catch up then and see what the situation is.
No problem.
Cheers, mate. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
Take care, mate.